Welcome, Exiles! Today is an exciting day. We have a new league. The league is themed Harvest and it's going to be out on June 19, which is in 2 weeks if you're watching this video when it's released. So it's an exciting time. We got a new league, we got some other stuff that's even more interesting, to be honest. So I watched a whole bunch of stuff on everything that I could find about this league, read everything. I watched ZiggyD's live stream with the interview with Chris Wilson, and with all the information I could gather, I'm going to tell you what I'm excited about and talk about everything that they found out about this league, which is actually probably not a lot because it's like first day of the announcement, and they're probably going to be releasing more videos and more bits and pieces before the league starts. Now, before I get into everything, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, turning on notifications if you want to see more videos from my channel. Now, the most exciting thing about this league is not the league itself, which is ridiculous. The most exciting thing, for me at least, is Vulkan Renderer. Now, why am I excited about this thing? Because it's a much newer render tech that can be used to optimize the game a lot and give us way better performance than what we used to. This means no more those micro stutters that you get one-shotted because of them, because you couldn't use your movement skill at the time that you wanted to use it. No more ping-ponging around with dash and things like that. So I tried this out, it's in beta currently, you can try it out currently in Delirium League. It's a huge difference, the game feels much smoother. You can even press Alt mid-game in a fully juiced map and not crash your game, or have 2-3 seconds until the game figures out what to do. So it's much better at loading stuff apparently, because it loads them asynchronously or something like that. I'm not sure what the tech is doing, but it feels way smoother, so definitely something that we should be excited about. And finally we'll probably get a performance that's really awesome and buttery smooth. Obviously you will still need good graphics cards, there is no escaping that, but at least you're not going to get micro stutters even though you have like a really good graphics card. So that's the most exciting thing for me at least. Now let's talk about the league itself, the mechanic, and how everything works. So the league itself, it's called Harvest, and what are we going to be doing? Well, we are going to be planting seeds and harvesting them for life energy or something, I don't know. Then we're going to use that to craft items, and it's kind of really powerful crafting system, and I think we're going to see some ridiculous items this season. So those seeds are going to be planted in the sacred grove, which is going to be spawned in each map, in each zone actually. So while you're leveling, you're going to be encountering them, and when you go into the maps, you're going to also be encountered in them. And so you get some seeds, and then you can enter the sacred grove where you can plant them, and they grow each tick. Basically each tick happens when you enter a next zone. So and it takes about, I think, 5 zones to level them up so you can harvest them, as far as what I got from ZiggyD's live stream. So I think it works like that. I watched the interview with Chris Wilson, and I learned a lot, but it's still like early, so I'm going to tell you everything that I've learned. Maybe make it a bit more condensed, but probably not. It's probably going to be a long video where I talk about random stuff that I found interesting. So we plant those seeds, get after a few maps, few ticks for those seeds, they bloom or whatever the plants do, I don't know, and then we can harvest them, and the monsters spawn from those seeds, and we kill the monsters, harvest them, and then we can use their life energy to craft some awesome gear. And there are like a few types of seeds. So far they announced these there are probably 3 types of seeds. So you have primal, vivid, and wild seeds, and they have levels. So far they said there are going to be 3 levels, 3 tiers, and some like maybe 4th tier, and level 3 and level 4 are going to be bosses, and level 1 are going to just be for like normal monsters that you harvest, and then you can use that life energy for crafting. And it's talking about extracting the life force. And then we get to the harvesting, so to crafting, I meant to say. So in this example, for instance, you have an axe that has cold modifiers on it, and you can turn those cold modifiers into fire modifiers. So for instance, if you had like some cold damage on it, you can turn it into fire damage. Some other like idea would be if you had a ring or amulet that has cold resistances on it, you can turn it into fire res, maybe, if you need that, which is really interesting idea. There, for instance, you have reforge a rare item with the new random modifiers, augments, reforge colors, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And there are actually more things. So I grabbed this from ZiggyD's live stream. So he showed this, and there is like something blanked here, so maybe there are more. So there may be like, this is a sample for the press or something, what they wanted to show us the first day. They're probably working on more of them. The 2 that really stand out to me is set an item to 4 sockets and 5 sockets. I thought they also mentioned 5 links, but don't quote me on that. But there is probably maybe a modifier somewhere in here that says 5 links, and that's really interesting. So we have something that's usually on a crafting bench to do like 4 or 5 sockets and 6 sockets. I think I've seen a 6 socket too, maybe I'm tripping on the stream, but I'm not sure. But I would guess if there are like 4 and 5, there's probably 6 sockets, and maybe also links. So you can check like what you can do here. For instance, you can reforge color of a random socket on an item to a white socket. So this way you can like spam this and maybe turn all the sockets into white sockets. Probably bit of RNG needed for that, but that's a very cheating that you would do for syndicate encounters. And yeah, you get it here now too, so it's really interesting. For instance, this one also like caught my attention. Remove defense modifier from an item. This is like a null, but it's really targeted, so if you don't want some defense modifier, you're not crafting that kind of item, you can remove it. There are quite like a few interesting ones. You can pause the video, read all of them, or I will share this link with you guys, or you can retype it. Probably better if we share it. I had to retype it myself from ZiggyD's stream. I think he shared it in chat, but I didn't copy the link, so I had to retype it because they recorded the stream, so you can rewatch it later on. For instance, change unique item, change unique into random unique jewelry or belt. So they're like those, you can maybe reroll a headhunter from some rather random rare, change unique armor into another unique armor of that type, change unique item into another random unique, so you can keep random crappy uniques and reroll them into better uniques, and that's really interesting. Then you have some reforging for colors again. You can augment a specific mod, let's say just custom modifiers. They're probably different ones too. And this is again like this is for sockets. Randomized numerical values for custom mods on item, augment item with a new custom mod, reforge rare item with a new random modifiers, including custom modifiers, so you can like target craft things onto the item. You can augment our item with a physical modifier. It's really interesting, like what this can do. We're going to probably see some really crazy items this league, and I think this league is going to be rare item league, because the amount of good items that are going to be on the market for a relatively normal price, I would say, are going to be like a lot of them. So you can probably use rare items, which is going to be something interesting, because a lot of people that are new to Path of Exile tend to use a lot of uniques, because it's easier to buy uniques for your build than to buy rare items, because unique has always the same like properties, but unique is kind of a bit harder. So I think, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Now this also talks about harvesting. You can we'll have to see like how these mechanics work. Until you interact with it, you're probably not going to know how to use it, so it's not like worth talking too much about it. But there are like some dispensers, condenser, and collector thingies that you use to harvest, collect life force energy, improve your like seeds, like that kind of stuff. I'm not sure how to explain them. You can watch some other videos, like developer commentary, the video from Path of Exile official channel, and they explain it pretty well. This talks about like bosses, so we'll have some like new encounters, and these do look pretty interesting. So there's like I think this is probably the boss. It looks really vivid, like something that came from a Tron movie or something. I don't know. And there we get to the thing that I'm also really excited about. Now they're going to rework the two-handed weapons and rage, because, and in general, like skill tree is going to be reworked quite a bit. We can see like here is keystone passive. This is agnostic, I think, for mana. I've seen glancing blows too. It's somewhere around here. That is not shown in this image. So yeah. They're going to basically add Legion Timeless Jewels. Basically, the keystones that were previously on Timeless Jewels are going to be in a skill tree. This opens some really interesting possibilities, because Timeless Jewels are not available in the beginning of the league. Later on you can get them, but they're a bit finicky how they are used. They need to be rolled with a specific name, and they are finicky, so not a lot of people use them that are new to the game, and they can be confusing. But now those keystones are, as you can see, on a skill tree, so it's really going to be opening some new possibilities for new builds and reworking the older builds, which is going to be awesome. Now, the team, I don't know, I think this might be a two-handed weapons league, because they're getting a lot of reworks, and I'm not sure what I'm going to play. I was going to do a miner as a league start, but these two-handed weapons, oh man, I love melee builds, so I might start as a two-handed character. So two-handed skills are reworked quite a bit. They're introducing new types of kind of skills, and some skill gems are going to be basically put into class of slam skills, and there are going to be new support skills for slam skills, basically. So it's going to be there's like Fist of War support. It's kind of some ancestral thingy that pops like above you and then slams with you to the ground. It's kind of really cool thing, so I can't wait to try out some build with that. Tectonic Slam is now works a bit differently. It only consumes one endurance charge for every third use, making it easier to maintain endurance charges, and you gain more area of effect per endurance charge, so some heavy endurance charge stacking is probably going to be a really nice build idea. And also keeping in theme of doing melee builds, they're also going to rework Warcries, which is really cool. I don't know, I kind of want to play a melee character now, so so they added 4 new Warcry skills and reworked 3 existing ones. Warcry is now scaled based on the power of nearby enemies rather than quantity, so this means if you Warcry near the boss, you're going to still benefit from Warcries. It didn't used to be like that, so Warcries were basically useless if there's just a boss and nothing else around it, so Warcries are now better. And many Warcries also exert your attacks, increasing their power for the number of attacks. So we have Seismic Cry. It releases a shockwave which stuns enemies and knocks them back. It also grants buff that makes it easier to stun enemies, so this is going to be interesting. Maybe we get some stunny boy that stuns everything. Stuns are already pretty good, I think, but with this it's going to be interesting. Then we have Rallying Cries, kinda I think being reworked, so it no longer gives mana regen, but now grants a % of your weapon damage to each of your allies based on the power of nearby enemies. And those allies are also your minions that you might summon with Herald or something like that. So Rallying Cry could be really good for minion builds too. That is Rallying Cry, and we have, this is like just some image of Warcrying. Then we have some brands are getting reworked. There are some new brands. I'm not a big brand player. I never actually tried brand build, so it's probably, I can comment a bit about them. I know how they work, but they are introducing 3 new brands, one brand support game, and have revamp existing brands. They are now a lot versatile, and what I kinda I think brand recall no longer regains but reigns supreme, but it's a useful tool alongside many new options. So brand recall got nerfed, and what I kinda listened on ZD's stream, I don't think that nerf might feel pretty bad. I'm not sure, because Archmage and brands were kinda really synergetic and kinda broken, so that is probably being nerfed. And you have to kind of see how that works, because I'm not going to be explaining that because I don't have a clue how that works. So we have some penance brand, which is going to kind of, when placed on ground, penance brand will attach to nearby enemies, like every brand. Its energy builds up and spreads to additional nearby enemies each time it activates, quickly dividing and spreading between enemies. When the brand is removed, the energy on each enemy is rapidly released in series of explosions. So you can build some explodey build with that thing. Then we have this Arcanist brand. When placed on the ground, the Arcanist brand will attach to nearby enemy and begin triggering link spells in a sequence. So you can make some well, it's kinda a new way to cast your spells. You have totems, mines. Now you have this brand that triggers other spells. So yeah, ridiculousness. They also introduced 12 new uniques and reworked over 50 R1s, like there are 4 here. This one is ridiculous. I don't know like what to say about this, but let's take a look at that one first. Nearby enemies have lightning resist equal to yours, so this basically means you don't want to be raising your resist, so you want to leave them at minus 60 lightning. That way the enemies around you have minus 60 to lightning, which is ridiculous. It's kinda, I don't know, if you add lightning pen, you can like kill all the resistances that enemy have to lightning and do some massive damage. But how you would counteract this? Lightning resist does not affect lightning damage. Let me see. Armor also applies to lightning damage taken from hits. So basically you have to scale armor to mitigate lightning damage. So some ascendancies, I think Jug has some armor thingy going on for it, and stacking armor is probably going to be the way to deal with this thing. It also says deal no non-lightning damage. Is kind of a bit weird when you see that. So this means you're just going to be lightning damage. And lightning resist does not affect lightning damage taken, so yeah, it's kind of self-explanatory there. Kinda self-explanatory, but the idea is to not stack lightning resist at all, have it at minus 60 and stack as much armor to mitigate lightning resistance too, and you deal a lot of lightning damage. It's a really interesting idea. The other one is Storm Secret. Topaz ring. This one is Herald of Thunder ring that is going to deal a lot of damage, but it also deals damage to you, so takes 250 lightning damage when Herald of Thunder hits the enemy. So you could do some custom damage taken nonsense with these rings, probably worth a try for sure. Then we have this axe here, which will trigger a level 15 lightning warp on hit with this weapon, so you're going to be teleporting left and right hits with this weapon gain 94% of his damage as extra cold or lightning damage. So it could be an interesting weapon to play around with. And then we have these boots that have been reworked. They're nothing that special in my opinion, but are kinda good if you're not doing lightning damage at all. So it drops shock ground while moving that lasts 2 seconds. This means that you're going to be shocking nearby enemies. It's really good, and those are like some uniques that they've shown so far, but there are 12 new uniques and 50 existing ones are being reworked. So if you've been wondering about Delirium, it's not going away. The cluster rules, cluster stacking and herald stacking are still a thing. They're probably going to get nerfed and rebalanced, but they're not getting removed or anything, so I'm really happy about that, because cluster rules are really interesting mechanic and they should stay in the game. The one thing is kinda, I don't know, some people might be happy about it. Well, not a lot of people are going to be happy about it, but the Delirium drops are still going to happen from the Delirium, and you will be encountering Delirium based, because Delirium can interact with other game mechanics, so you can have, I don't know, a Legion and a Delirium in the same map, so they're going to be a better chance of encountering Delirium. The more you juiced up your map, the higher chance you have of encountering Delirium. You're going to encounter some Delirium during leveling. I think they said you probably would get around, what was that they say, I think 5 cluster jewels during leveling if you were to do Delirium in every map while you level. So there are going to be Delirium mirrors and everything. It's just going to be, it's there, it's not going away. What's probably going to happen is that notables like Purple Harbinger are going to either be nerfed or moved around a bit. Maybe they go to large cluster jewels and not be on the medium. It's just my speculation, by the way. Nobody said that on the stream, but they're going to be reworked, so they're not going to be as powerful as they used to be. And we get to the Vulkan Renderer, so, and we have sports packs. If you're into that kind of stuff, you can check them out. They look really cool. I like this one. So we have a league June 19. We talked about everything so far that is known. I'm really interested in passive skill tree to see the whole thing. I'm not sure if they're going to release that before the season. I'm not 100% sure if we got like the update for path of building before the season started for the Delirium or after. I usually don't like mess around too much before the season starts, so this is like the first time I'm that much interested in Path of Exile. I got hooked a lot this like previous season, and I can't wait for the next one. I usually don't do that. I usually just like pick up one, hey, there's new Path of Exile season, and in the last minute I just pick up some build that I want to play and start playing. So I'm not sure if they're going to release the passive skill tree so we can plan out some builds before the season starts, but I'm definitely going to be trying out some league starter builds and figuring stuff out what I want to play. I was kind of surprised about two-handers and rage, so I might go melee. I wanted to do minor, but I might go melee skills instead, but I'm not sure. So this is kinda all that I have for you, Exiles. If I find out some new information or get some new ideas, I'm going to make a new video and talk more about this. So let me know in the comments like what's exciting for you this season? Is it like Vulkan Renderer or a crafting or what have you? So yeah, this is all, Exiles. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.